Okay, so why would all these people explore? So many factors encouraged exploration. They searched for spices and profits. The Crusades, which were a series of wars between 1096 and 1272 around Jerusalem, and it was basically fighting between the Christians and the Jews and the Muslims trying to control the Holy Land, what is now Jerusalem. And so between the Crusades and the tales of the Marco Polo, there were obviously trading going on as people were going back and forth through these areas, and there was a huge demand for spices, and because the demand exceeded the supply of the spice trade, was extremely profitable. It was very dangerous, but it was very profitable. And you can see here on the map how there's a bunch of different little dots and things. These are different settlements, and typically one person would not go all the way from Europe to China and back in order to trade. They actually would just go a short way. They would trade with somebody else who would go another way, which trade with somebody else. And so it was a series of trade routes. It wasn't just a couple of people going back and forth over the whole thing. Okay, there was other reasons to explore were the desire to spread Christianity. So a lot of people felt it was their duty in order to convert people, that any non-Christians, it was the Christians' duty to convert them to Christianity. Spain, Portugal were the people, the countries who kind of led this whole conversion idea, and the Europeans really still hoped to reconquer northern Africa from the Muslims. There was a lot of wars going on between northern Africa, Spain, Portugal, France area, the Ottoman Empire, and a lot of Muslim areas actually took over part of southern Europe, southwestern Europe. And once the Spain and Portugal, the Christians of those countries got their rule back, they wanted to actually continue to spread Christianity into Africa after they were able to get their land back. There was also the ability to use new technology. The caravel, this ship down here, was a much faster sea vessel that could allow explorers to sail further and faster. Muslims invented the astrolabe, which is this picture here, and the compass, which were obviously essential for crossing the Atlantic Ocean and exploring new areas, which was much easier to use than just navigating by the stars. However, they still did use some of those earlier methods as well. Okay, so the Portuguese explored Africa and managed to reach India. The first guy they sent out was Bartholomew Diaz, and in 1488 he reached the southern tip of Africa, and so this light purple route was his route. And then he came back, and then Vasco da Gama was Portuguese who reached India in 1497, and he is the red trail here on the map. And he finally established a direct trade route for Asian spices that did not require going over land, which obviously would be much more difficult and take a lot more time. Okay, Christopher Columbus. He had a number of voyages. His first voyage was an attempt to find a direct route to the Indies, despite the fact a lot of people said that, oh, well, he was, so important because he was the first person to realize that the world wasn't flat. That is not true. Most people, educated people at the time, knew that the world was round. But they didn't know that there is North and South America in the way if they went west. So they were trying to find the West Indies, which are the islands, some of the islands in the Pacific Ocean. And he took 3 boats with him, the Santa Maria, the Nina, and the Pinta, to reach San Salvador, and reach San Salvador here, which is in the Caribbean. The Arawak people were on San Salvador, which were the native people there, and Columbus thought they were Indians, meaning from the Indies. And so the fact that a lot of Native Americans are called Indians is just kind of a misnomer, which is why it's more politically correct to call them Native Americans instead of Indians anymore. He did not find any gold or spices, but he was the first European to eat corn. His other voyages, he crossed again in 1493, 1498, and 1502. The reason why he is important is because he opened a new era in which Europeans could rush to explore the new lands, which they did afterwards. And because he was sponsored by Spain, Spain paid for him, Spain was really the forefront of these explorations, and Spain had a huge navy, and just kind of Spain had a lot of control over North and South America initially due to their strong navy after Christopher Columbus's voyage. Okay, other explorers reached the Americas. Portugal claimed Brazil, which is why they still speak Portuguese. In 1492, Spain and Portugal signed the Treaty of Tordesillas, which basically split. There was a latitude line that went down over the map and just kind of split the Americas in half, and one side was for Portugal, the other side was for Spain. And Magellan rounded the globe. And here you can see 1522, he managed to go all the way around the globe, which he was the first person to do that. Okay, so some of the good things and bad things that occurred due to these explorations. First of all, epidemics, which are illnesses that spread, kind of like swine flu. Some of these epidemics were smallpox, measles, and influenza, which is the flu, and they were unknown in the Americas until the Europeans came. And so one example of the impact on the native populations was that Hispaniola's Native American population went from 250,000 in 1492 to 50 in 1542. So in less than 100 years, you can see almost 250,000 people died, which is a lot. The Columbian Exchange was a good thing for most people other than the poor native populations, but in Europe and many other areas, the Columbian Exchange was a definite bonus for all these explorations, which really benefited Europeans. The Columbian Exchange is the exchange of goods from Europe to the Americas and things from Americas to Europe. Now, some of the more important things were that corn and potatoes were brought to Europe from the Americas, which we all know are huge food staples now. But cows, chickens, pigs, sheep, and donkeys, and horses even, were brought from Europe to the Americas. So all of those things, cows, chicken, pigs, sheep, and donkey, they were not known to the native populations in North and South America until the Europeans came, even though a lot of people have these images of Native Americans in the United States who are on horseback in the Wild West, and you see these Native Americans on horses. They didn't have their horses until the Europeans came. So this is our last slide. This is a map which kind of illustrates some more of the products. And so all of these things in the top arrow were brought from North and South America and the Caribbean to Europe, Africa, and Asia. And then all of these things were brought from Europe, Africa, and Asia to the Americas. And you can see all of the stuff that's brought from the Americas to Europe, Africa, and Asia are good things. However, you can see down here on the end that all these diseases were definite bad things, which really affected the populations in North and South America. And that's it for this lecture. I just want to let you know that the reason why there's things that are underlined throughout this PowerPoint presentation, those are the most important things that you guys need to know from this PowerPoint. So if you want to take notes from this, you can. You don't have to, or you can print it out. But the stuff that's underlined are the things that I'm going to be assessing you on, hopefully, when you guys come back. Talk to you guys later.